How's it going, guys? Favorite teacher on the mic. Hope everybody's doing all right. So, first thing we're going to talk about today is how to solve. We're finally made it to solving the equations. We're done writing them, switching them from standard to slope intercept. Now we're going to learn how to actually solve them. So, as we've talked about in the past, two lines can only do three things. One is they can intersect, and our answer is where they intersect. It's a point, it's an X and a Y. Then two lines can also be parallel. Parallel means, they could be this way, they can be this way, but they will never ever cross. And that is because they have, the key word here is parallel lines all have the same slope. The slope is exactly the same, meaning they have the exact same angle that they are going. The last thing that could happen, oh, by the way, parallel lines have no solution because they will never cross. This has one solution because they cross right here. This has no solution because they never cross. And then lastly, you can have a line literally on top of another line, and that has infinitely many solutions. Let's begin. So we're going to solve these problems by graphing. I picked a few to go with. So one thing we need to remember is mx plus b. If they're already in slope-intercept form, it makes it super easy. For example, this first line is at plus 3. So that is 1, 2, 3. There it is. Then my slope is rise over run. So it's negative 5 over 3. So I need to go down, rise over run. So down 5. 1, 2, I don't want to write the little bubbles because we might not be able to see our information. So I'm going to go down 5. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. So there is my first line. And let me draw a rough guesstimate of that one. Don't judge me if it's not perfect. And then our next one is negative 3 is our y-intercept, which is here. And our slope is up 1 to the right 3, rise over run. So up 1 to the right 3. And you can already tell where the two lines cross. So they're going to ask you, what is your solution? Well, your solution is a point. What is that point? Well, the x, this is our spot that we're looking at. Our x is 3, and our y is negative 2. That is our solution. Okay, let's try it again with number 2. Plus 3, y-axis. Slope is 4, also known as 4 over 1. That's how we do rise over run. So rise up 4, 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 to the right. It's off the graph. That kind of isn't fun. So what you can do, instead of going up 4 and right 1, do the exact opposite. Go down 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1. You'll notice it's all part of the same line. Down 4, left 1. There's our line. Okay, I know it's not pretty. It's the best I got. So that's our first line. And here's the other one. Minus 2 is where we're starting. There it is. And here's the slope. Negative 1. That's an invisible 1 in front of the x. So as a fraction would be negative 1 over 1. That's your slope. Rise over run. So I'm going to be going from my point down 1 because it's negative and 1 to the right. There it is. What's the opposite of going down 1 and right 1? Well, you could go up 1 and left 1. And we can tell, again, where those two lines cross. So our answer is a point. The answer is negative 1 on the x-axis and negative 1 on the y-axis. Okay. Next one, number 4. I'm showing it to you just because it's a little bit of a weird one. You're not comfortable graphing these a lot of the time. Y equals negative 1. That's the challenge. What does that graph look like? Well, if you don't remember, I always told you to make some points. And the only thing you know about those points are y must always be negative 1. So there you go. pick any x that you like. 1, 2, your grandma, it doesn't matter. So let's just pick 1 and 2 and plot them. Well, 1, -1 is right here, and 2, -1 is right here. Well, now we know which way that weird line goes. Y equals -1 is -1 on the y-axis. It goes across like this. So really not as hard as you think. If you have one that says x equals a number, you do the same thing, but you make points and you make your x's that number. And you do the exact same process. Okay, so second equation, +4. I know where that is. That's my y-intercept. Next, my slope says down 5 to the right 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 2. So it is this spot once again. And there it is. So my final answer is this point, which is the point 2 on the x-axis and looks like -1 on the y-axis. Okay. So we're going to graduate to these kind of problems. I only gave 2 because I know you're tired of hearing my voice. But what would happen if they gave it to you in standard form? And now you understand why I'm trying to teach you how to go from standard form to slope-intercept form. Because I don't even know how to graph it from this way. You don't probably either. So if we can take this and change it back into mx plus b, it's so much easier to graph. So we talked about this. To change this back, you need to take your x and you need to move it to the other side of the equation. For example, 4x plus y equals 1. Well, I need to subtract 4x from both sides. And here we go. Y equals mx plus b. Equation's finished. Second equation, we have x plus y equals -2. Well, again, I need to move my x to the other side by subtracting it. So y equals -x minus 2. That's y equals mx plus b. So now we're going to go ahead and graph both of these equations. So let's start with the first one. -4x plus 1. There it is, plus 1 right there. My slope says -4. Remember, that's a fraction, -4 over 1. So I can go down 4 and 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to the right. There's my first line. And again, if you don't want to go down 4 and right 1, you can always go up 4 and left 1. If you need another line to help you make a straight line, like I do, because you'll know how my graphs look. Okay, and let's graph the second equation so we can see where they cross. -2, here it is. -2 is right there. And our slope is negative. Remember, we talked about this. -1 is in the front. As a fraction, it's -1 over 1. So down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. There it is. So the point that they have in common is our final answer. And that point is 1 for the x's and -3, it looks like, for the y's. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing for this problem, and we'll call it quits for our video. So we have x plus 3y equals -9. Again, we want to change that to y equals mx plus b. So get rid of the x by subtracting x. And then we have 3y equals -x minus 9. The final step, you can't leave a number in front of y, so you need to get rid of multiplication with division. So final answer, y equals negative what? What's in front of this x? We talked about it. It's a -1. So it's -1 over 3x And what's negative 9 divided by 3? Well, that's negative 3. There's our first equation in mx plus b form. Okay, the next part is 5x plus 3y is equal to 3. So we can subtract 5x from both sides, and we get 3y equals negative 5x and a positive 3. Then divide by, you know it, divide by 3. Y equals negative 5 over 3x, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So now we need to graph these. The first one starts at negative 3. We knew that. And we're going to go down 1, right 3. There it is. Instead of going down 1, right 3, we can also go up 1 and left 3 if you need another point to help you make your line. Okay, next. Plus 1 is where we are starting. Down 5, right 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. There is the mutual point that they have in common. I got to turn the paper on this one. That way I just don't booger it up. Okay, so our final answer is 3 on the x's, negative 4 on our y's. Alrighty, if we have time, I just wanted to show you a neat little trick. If you're struggling taking these and putting them back into slope-intercept form, I don't remember if y'all remember this, but there's an easy way to find x-intercepts and y-intercepts. And if y'all remember this, you can do it for both of these equations, and you're going to be amazed by this. Okay, so the top equation, if I want to find the x-intercept, let's start with that. If I want to find the y-intercept, I can make x 0, so cover that up. What's the answer? 2 times what equals 4? Well, we know that is 2. Now let's do it the other way around. If I want to find my x-intercept, I'm going to make y 0. So cover up this piece. And let's solve it. 3 times what equals 4? Well, that would be, you have this problem, 3x equals 4. You could divide by 3, and x would equal 1 1/3. I know some people are like, I ain't doing that, but it's an option. This equation, same thing, put a 0, plug in 0 for x, and y ends up being 2 times negative 2 would be negative 4. And then cover up the cover up the y, and you already have an answer. X equals negative 4. So check this out. 0, 2. X is 0, y is 2. X is 1 1/3. Y is 0. So there's my first line. And the second line, 0, negative 2, would be down here. And then negative 4, 0 is over here. And you can probably guess by my horrible drawn lines that this would be our solution, which is the point 4, negative 4. Alrighty, guys. I was just showing you different ways of solving things. Hopefully it helps. We do have a homework on this, so I wish you the best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions, as always.